Insomnia from UnrealTek. In episode 10, we're going to just work from where we left off in the last video after realizing I was trying to go way too far too fast. So we're just going to continue on the helper functions. So open up your project, remember create your way, and let's get to it. We were working on the function to compare two player states based on their kill-death ratio. So let's finish that up. So we're going to get the get kills from player state 2. We went into our player state and we set kills and death, and we'll set up a replicated function to increment them. And while I think about that on the idea of replication, we should go into our BP player state and set kills and death both to replicated. And then we're going to hit F7 to compile. I'm going to remember to stop using the compile button and use F7 to compile. Alright, so we are good to go now. So now we are able to go back to our game state, and you can see they're now replicated variables. So we're going to want to do the same thing with deaths. Let's see, we'll get kills, and then we will get deaths. So get deaths, player state 2, get deaths, player state 1. Set this up so that it's nice and clean. Just like that should work just nicely. Alright, so what we need to do, we need to select a player state. Because remember, this is a loop inside of a loop where we are comparing player states to rank them. So what we are returning, so if we go over and add a return node, should make a key for that. We're going to return the results. Of course, they can be the same, so we need a variable be same ranking. So that would be if they're tied, and then we'll want to replace return a BP player state reference. Ooh, that's not fitting in this window. I'm working with a new monitor setup. We'll call that higher, and we'll do another one which will be lower. Alright, so we'll have a higher and lower or same ranked, and then we'll iterate through all the player states to get their rating based on that, their ranking basically. And we'll be able to use this for a lot more cool things like a leaderboard, and maybe work some like HTTP stuff into it to make like an online leaderboard. So anyways, you're going to want to do some selects from the higher and lower, because we obviously need to select which one is higher or lower. So let's type in select, and that'll give us automatically the option 0 and 1 BP player states, and then our index is going to be the wildcard is going to be a boolean. So we'll have that one, and we'll do the exact same one for lower. Easy peasy. And same ranking, let's just make a rewrote. Rewrote. How come you're not rewroting? Oh, I gotta start my Logitech software. Alright, so we're gonna rewrote. That's the wrong one. Rewrote. Is that straight? Yeah, okay, it's just bugging out on me. And we'll bring it over here, and we'll do the is the same over there. So to check if they are tied, first of all, be a same ranking, we are gonna want basically our kills equal and our deaths equal. So it's double equal sign, comparison, are these equal and are deaths equal? So let's bring these up and these up, and let's see if we can get this to all fit in here nicely. That's about as far as we can take that. Take these over maybe, and over. Yeah, I like that. And then we'll just grab these and do an AND boolean. So if these are both the same, kills and deaths for both player states, then we know that they are the same ranking. So we'd probably just plug that right in there. That'll work just fine. Let's do it like so. Nice and clean. Perfect. We could probably rewrite these, but I don't know if there's any point in it. Might just make it worse, actually. Yeah, whatever, it's fine. Alright, so next off, we need to compare if one is less than or greater than the other. So we want to check if the kills of player state 1 is greater than the kills of player state 2, and we want to check if the deaths are less than or equal to, because the deaths can be the same, in which case the kills will be what we would score off of. And we're gonna need more room here, so let's bring this all across. So if kills, one of the kills is greater than the other, or boolean, or, and let's plug this right into each of these selects to give it the true false indexes. So, or if they are equal, I should do this differently. Let's bring the equals back down, actually, yeah. It would be a cool add-on is if you could alt-click on a rewrote node and get rid of it, but leave the whole wire there. Okay, now I've gone and done it. There we go. Okay, so or if the kills and deaths are equal and boolean, and the deaths, one of them is less than or equal to. So if one player state has more kills than the other, or if one player state has the same kills, but their deaths are less than or equal to the other player state, then we return true for player state 1 and false for player state 2. We should invert that to make that cleaner. So player state 2 and player state 1. So let's add some nice rewrote nodes in there so this doesn't get messed up in the beginning here. Maybe let's move that over somewhere. Alright, so yeah, that defines if it is higher. So that defines whether, if true, then player state 1 is higher. If false, then player state 2 is higher. Now the other way, lower, is basically the same, or sorry, it is the same, it just gives you the opposite. So where we have false and true here, we have it the right way originally that I wanted it the other way. So false goes to player state 1 instead, and true goes to player state 2. So I'll clean that up there. And then, yeah, we have if both are equal, then they have the same ranking. What is the best way to put that? Thinking something like that, maybe with some rewrote nodes. Although I guess I don't really want to throw it in there. There, that'll work. Alright, good enough. Alright, so we'll give this a comment. We'll say ranks the play the two player states in by kills unless there is a tie, in which case we rank by deaths lesser. If tie still remains, then we output same rank. I'm gonna put that as the function's description as well. And this is gonna be a pure and constant function. Alright, so let's hit F7 to compile that. And now we can go back to our get player states listed, where it ranks all the player states. And now that we have that function, we can actually compare player states. So we put in our double equal sign object comparison here. And so what we want to do is we want to take the array element here of all the player states out. Remember, we added that over here, or we will be adding that, and then breaking out of it only if these are the same. So what we want to do is we want to take the array element and we want to call that function sort player states listed by kill death ratio. And so we have a target of self. Player state 2 is going to be this one here, so the player state that we are casting to from the player array. So whatever player we are currently picking from, it would be it would start at the next player up, and then the next one, the next one, the next one. Then it's comparing it to player state 1. Is it higher or lower to give us basically a ranking? So let's put that up there. Let's bring this back. There we go. So yeah, that would be like so. And so if it's higher than the player state, like so, then we go into the branch and it's true, and we insert it into player states out. And then we say, yes, we added a new player state, and then we break out of this part of the loop, go back, and then we go for the next player array. So it's a for loop in a it's a for each loop in a for each loop. And the sort player states is what works whether we're adding to that final array or not. So after that, I believe that is good. We can just clean this up a little bit. We can get rid of these rewrote nodes here. This one can go over here. So yeah, then we take our final player states out and we insert. And what do we insert? We insert that index. And so then, yeah, we say that we added a state and we break out of the loop. So once that is completed, so once we complete this loop, once we've gone through all the player states and ranked them, then what we want to do is we want to go to a branch. I'm just going to connect that right up. I maybe should have brought this further across. It's kind of tight in here. There, that'll work nice, just like that. Bring that over one, perfect, maybe even two. Alright, so once that loop is finished, then we, or if it's broken, when we break out, then we say, did we add a player state in this part, in this for each loop, while looping through this certain player from the player array, which is a stock default node. If we didn't, then we do an array add to our player states out. And instead of adding, instead of inserting to our player states out the higher ranked player, then at the index, then instead we just add the player state. Like so. Alright, so actually I'm gonna even just make a new reroute for that, just so you can tell that it's definitely a different from the rank. So this is after completing or breaking out of the inner loop, if we didn't add a new player state, or if we didn't insert a ranked player state, then add the player state we are comparing from player array. That's kind of long. That's not even gonna fit in there. So maybe see if we can bring this. Oh, I don't want to do that. Let's see if we can bring this down without ruining anything. There we go. And that can move over. We got lots of room to work with there. All right, cool. And then this whole part, what it does is yeah, we'll add that part too. It basically loops through every player state from player array, and sorts and sorts them based on KD ratio ranking. Alright, and at the beginning, what we do, because we're checking the team number, if it's equal to the team number in, basically what we're doing there, well, right here, not the actual for loop body, is we're making or ensuring that the player state are on the team we're requesting to sort for. Because you see, we're sorting them for a team. So this is used for scoreboard ranking. It's used for putting people on teams automatically, etc., etc. It's got lots of uses. And so once it is done, once the original loop is done, then yeah, we take our player states out, we get its length. If it's greater or equal than 2, so if we have 2 or more player states, then that means that we have tied players, and that means we have to set player ranking tied to true. But we won't be setting that to true. We'll be doing that by taking our player states out list, and we'll be doing an array get, 2 of them actually, based off of that array at index 0 and 1. So that'll be the 2, or that'll be the equal or 2 player states. So we find out, we go through them, and then we again sort player based kill death ratio, player state 1 and 2, and then we just put the same ranking. And so yeah, over here we're using higher lower, whereas we're using the same ranking down here. So it's kind of like 2 functions in one. If false, however, so if the player states out is just 1, if we only have 1 player, then basically in our final player out list for get player states listed, I should call this get player states sorted or something. Whatever, it's good enough. Then we want to add, or we have a return node up here. Let's cut that out, put it over here. B is our rankings tied, that's not an array. And so then we just return, either way, true or false, we return. And the list of players that we want to return is, can we do a nice reroute? Probably not. Arrays don't make for nice reroutes, but that's what we want to return. Let's see if we can bring this length down. Player states out, down. Let's bring that down. That down. There, I like that. One more up. There we go. So we'll just return the list of player states, which is player states out. And if they're tied, that is B player rankings tied. And so that's obviously set right there, nowhere else. So F7 compile, make sure it looks good. So all this is doing is check again to see if the player states out is tied before returning the final list. So be listed this is sort, this is get. We should call it get player states listed by KD ratio, because that's what it's doing. And so this is getting it and this is sorting it. It's kind of like its brother and sister functions. So I am going to, this is our game state. I want to organize this. So I want to put both of these in a category called let's go info, or let's go player states. Let's go, yeah, players. Let's just go rankings. Let's go rankings player states, actually, because there's lots of ways we can rank. Ranking player states. Let's just go rankings. Make it easy for us for now, since we don't have a lot of functions to deal with yet. So rankings. All right, and this appearing constant. Compile. Good deal. So active player state check. Player states out. Be added rank side. False. False. Perfect. I think we're good. All right. So now what we can do is we can go back to our player state, because I believe that's what we were using that for. No, sorry, that was in the game mode. Okay, so let's just save that. In the game modes, BP game mode, we were doing that in this one, the assign team number size. I want to close other tabs. So assign team number size. So what we're doing, we're taking the number of teams minus 1, so that, because it's 0 base, so 0 to the number of teams minus 1, and we were creating our loop, but we got stuck because we needed that. And then we have the team that needs players, what we are returning in the end. So what we had was we were getting the game state, we were casting to our game state, we were going into a branch. We're gonna need our index, so let's reroute our index through here. Maybe like so. And then what we want to do is we want to drag off of BP game state, and we want to sort player states listed by KD ratio. No, we want to not sort, we want to get. We're not sorting, we're getting. The game state sorts, the game mode just gets. So where is it? Rankings. Get player states listed by KD ratio. There we go. So just like so. And the team number is the index. As you can see, it's the teams. Excuse me, burps today. And so then we go into this branch, which is the condition is the team with least players. If it is less than the list of player states length. So how many ranked player states do we have on that team? if it is less than the team with the least amount of players, then we need to put it on that team. So if true, then we set team with least players to the index, or sorry, to the length of the player state. So that sets the team with the least number of players. So that would be like the team with least players count. How many players do they have on their team? And it's the team with least players. And so then we take our index and let's rewrote it up. And rewrote, and then these are local variables, and then we're gonna set team that needs player to that. So then our index team number is the team that needs the player. So that's the team that should be assigned, or that's, yeah, the team that the player should be assigned to. And so once we're done, then we just return, obviously, the team that needs that player. So what this function does in whole, let's comment it. Outputs the team with the lowest number of players for auto assignment. Yeah, that'll work. And this is going to be peer and constant as well. That way it can be overridden if we want to do it based on some other factor. Then we can just we can do it based off some other thing. That should be good for now. So let's compile that. So we need a lot more functions in our game mode. Our game mode's pretty pertinent to your game mode. Makes sense. So let's clean up. All we have is the post login from the stock multiplayer Steam project. So let's clean up this post login. Did we already? No. So let's copy this first of all. Everything except for the event on post login. I'm gonna go to MP Steam old logic, because remember we're saving this just in case for reference, so we can go back and look if we get in a bind. And so let's just create a custom event called on post login old logic don't use. pretty makes sense. And just connect that back up, compile, save. Oh, and the player state, yeah. Let's just put an input called BP player state. Doesn't need to be called anything. Reference. And controller reference. It needs a controller, right? Okay, so we'll just go controller reference then. Just in case we need to go back and look at it after. Alright, more errors. Cast BP player controller. I forget what we even cast into there. Probably that same thing, the player state, I'm guessing. We'll just get player controller. And we'll just comment just here to, or in caps, just here to fix compile errors. F7. There we go, now we're good. So we can close that event graph. So let's start from scratch. Event on post login. So what event post login does is it basically, as players connect, event on post login connect, it basically it does whatever you need with players as they connect into the game. So there's no way you can see if we drag off here, if we type in server, all we get is our widgets. There's no way to set a actual server name. You can see you can get server name, but you see there's no way to set. And it's kind of sad. You can see the result is from a blueprint sessions result, which you can break. I don't think it gives you any info. But yeah, so you can get the server name when you create a session, which is usually something like Insomnia PC-133327765 or something. But we have no way to set it. So let's handle that. We'll make our own custom setup. So let's create a gate, hold down G. And so we'll enter this gate on login. And it will not start closed. It'll allow the player to go through it first. And so we want to do an is valid check. So when a player connects, we want to check they're gonna have a player controller assigned to them, obviously. Let's create a reroute. And so we want to get their player state. Get player state. Oops, not that one. Get player state. So every controller has a player state assigned to them. As you can see, that's a default replicated value. So we want to make sure that their player state is valid. If it's not valid, we don't want to allow them to enter the game yet. And then we want to get player name. So in Steam, that'll be their username. In LAN, it'll just be a number until we set something else. And so we want to name the server based on the very first player. So we will be closing this. So what we want to do is we want to get game state. Then we want to cast to our game state and convert to a peer cast. Now we need to add some variables to the game state. We need to add a whole new category, basically. Let's go server's name. So we can get the server name, but we can't set it, so we're going to make our own. So we'll set that to name. Actually, let's set that to text. Names are really only used for like GUIs. And this will be replicated, obviously, so everyone knows what the server's name is. And let's give it a category. This will be server data. So we'll have a whole new category. Let's duplicate that. And we also, remember how we tried to get the game mode, but it just said Gamemode 12? There's no workaround for that yet in Blueprint, so let's also do a Gamemode name. Gamemode current, or let's call it Gamemode real name. And we also want to duplicate, and we want a level name. We want to know what map. In fact, let's just shorten it to map name. Maps name. And let's call this Gamemode's real name. So, in our lobby, if you remember, we set all that up. So we have our maps name, we can do map voting. We have our game mode, so we can choose a game mode. And we have our server's name, so we know what server we're on. And so yeah, those will all be replicated. And since they'll be set from a widget, let's compile. F7. And let's set them to transient, so they're 0 failed at load, and then they get set through the GUI. And by default, they can just be blank. So let's recompile and save, and let's go back to our game mode. I'm just going to save. So now we can set server name. Set server's name if the first player that joins state is valid. If not, then obviously you'll get a session error, a travel error, and then they'll have to try making it again. So once they do set the server's name, though, then we close the gate, and then obviously no new player can set the server's name. So let's take the player's name, Let's go server's name and let's make literal text. Let's format text, and let's format players PLYRS name. So that's the variable that we got from the game state. Players name, curly bracket close. Let's do a comma s, and let's just go server. So connect player's name in like so, and so it'll format it out like that. It'll put player's name with an S and then server, and then it'll set the server name to that. And let's reroute this break wire so that's nice and clean. So what we're doing is since we can only get a server name, i.e. Insomnia PC 13141, and not set it, we're creating our own custom system here by taking the first connected player and setting the server name to their player name. So again, on Steam it would be something like Insomnia server. On LAN it would be something like 234 server. So that's what that bit does. Then we need to assign players to a team. Now this is a gate, so we should probably do a sequence. So let's throw a sequence in here. So that'll be our first sequence. So after it's closed, that's it. No, obviously we don't have any new first players. So after that, let's do a reroute here. Then we want to take our new player in, which is a player controller in. We want to cast to BP player controller. Let's convert that to a peer cast. Let's drag off of that and let's get its player state. And off of that, let's cast to BP player state, convert to a peer cast. And off of that, let's bring this over. Let's do set team number and connect the wire up there. But what team number are we gonna give them? Well, we created that nice little function called what is it? Assign team number. Assign. Did I spell something? Gamemode. Oh, that's on the player controller. So just gotta drag that in, and team number goes in there. I see what I'm doing now. Assign team number sized. Yeah, so number of teams. Okay, yeah, sorts. That's fine. That should work. Just like so. So let's comment that. Sorry. So every other player. So 2 onwards. Gets, and the first player too, because he'll go through that logic. So let's just say every player when logging or when logged in gets assigned a random team initially. Actually, let's call that initialize a random team for every player that joins. So we're just initializing a random team. And then we're good. So we can comment that. We can set it as event PostLogin, and we'll say handles setting the server name to the first player to join, aka aka host a session and and initializes a random team to every player joining. Good enough. All right. So that's event post login. Next, we should let's do an event begin play. Let's hold down P and left click. We need that game mode name, and we're also going to want game options. So let's create a function called set game mode options. Yeah. So what we're gonna do here is, you know, when you can I do it from here? Create session? I don't think so. No. Darn. Can I do it from the game state? Create session? No. Session. Come on. Session. There we go. Create session. So you know when you create a session, what you do is you open level. You can set options. So what we're going to do is we're going to have an options variable that we can put in there. So let's set that up. So what we want to do is, there's a default value. There's all these sneaky little default values that people don't know about called option string. Get options string. So as you can see, this is save option string and parse it when needed. So we will be parsing it. So what we need to do is parse into array, and the delimiter, so what the options are going to be separated by, will be your standard question mark. And we do want to call empty strings. That's call, not call. And then we want to do a for each loop on each array, or on each option in the array. And what we want to do is we want to take the array element, and let's do a reroute. We don't need an index. I don't need an index of options, but we're going to need to do lots of things. So we're going to need a sequence in our loop body. This doesn't look straight to me. None of this looks, there we go. Okay, that's better. So let's put it right here, nice and clean. The first thing we're gonna do is we'll set up a round timer. So we can have each round last a certain amount of time. You don't want infinite rounds. So let's go straight into a branch, like so. And then let's create a variable called match time. And it will be a float and editable, and let's put it in config game options. Let's just go config game. And it doesn't need to be replicated. And let's give it a time. Let's see. What would be a good default? 15 minutes. 15 times 60. 900. Yeah, I think that'd work fine. Let's go 10 minutes. That's a little long. In fact, we'll be doing testing. So for now, let's do it like 3 minutes. So 3 times 60 is 180, obviously. I don't know why I needed to do the math there, but whatever. So yeah, we'll have that variable. So tooltip, the length of the current match being played. And so we're gonna set that. And we're gonna get game time seconds, so we're gonna need to multiply an int by a float. So times 60, that gives us seconds, or that gives us minutes, sorry, from seconds. And then we're gonna want another variable called round or match time remaining. Let's make it shorter. Match time left. So that'll be a float. It doesn't need to be editable because we're just going to be accessing it. We won't be changing. It's not configured. It's not configured at all. And let's give it a ridiculously high default value of like what? Go like, if we're gonna set 3 minutes times 60, 180. Why do I need to do that math? Let's do like 30. So let's go like 1800. Let's have that. Let's just go 900 as a default. That'll obviously get changed from a timer, and in fact it is getting set right from our match time. But what are we setting our match time from? Well, we need to create another function. We're just in Function Valley lately. Function Valley is great. Functions are great. So what we need to do is we're trying to get an integer here for setting the match time. And we're using our game options, which we can append when we're setting up a server. The options are going to be a string, as you can see here. So what we need to do, so if our string was something like, you know, match time, you know, let's say open level, third person, or I'll just say open level, map 1 and options, or and, because that's our limiter, and match time equals, you know, 180, and kill limit equals 50 kills, and friendly fire equals 1 for true. So we're going to use integers for creating a big string like that, and that's what we're parsing there into an array. So we need to extract that integer from that option to be able to set things like this. So let's create a function called parseInt. Would it be parsing? Not really, sort of. Parse integer from option string. Let's go parse int. Everybody knows what an int is. From option string. And so this function is going to have 2 string inputs. The first one being option string int pair, and the next one being the actual option name. And then we'll have outputs, which will be an integer, which will be the parsed int. And we'll also want a boolean called b was successful, because if that option wasn't there and set, then we got to know about it. We need things to be bulletproof. In fact, we should go back through our miscellaneous brainstorming, through our blueprint general practice, general blueprinting, watch pre and post conditions to prevent bugs in large blueprint systems like we're creating, create as much modularity as possible, try to create object-oriented designs, prevent duplicating code by using functions, and search for duplicates and create solutions later, comment major parts during recording, use function libraries, macro libraries for repeating or similar statements. We haven't needed that yet. Use event dispatchers and BPIs to our advantage. We've used an event dispatcher too. Don't try to work on too many ideas at once. I broke that, and now we're going way longer than we need to for some things, but we're getting work done. Use isValids and switch as auth in abundance. I'm probably not doing enough for that I should. Create redundancy where possible, definitely. Hotkeys to save time. Most definitely trying to remember that now. So let's take the option name, and we're going to make a literal string from that. And what we want to do with this literal string is we want to find a substring in it. And the substring that we want to find is the option string int pair. So what that means, Like, there's not really a better description, but that's like match time equals 60. So that's your pair. The option string with an integer paired to it. So I don't know if there's anything equal or if there's any better description. You could say like option param with integer, or with ending int. I think option string int pair. Well, let's just go option and then and int pair. Or rather, we could go option and in uppercase and int underscore pair. I like that. Alright, cool. Although I don't like uppercase I's, but whatever. And we're gonna need to rewrote that above. So we find a substring. What we're searching for is the literal string from the option name. So if it's match time equals 60, then we're looking for match time. We don't want to worry about case sensitivity. This is all fine default values. And so then what we're doing, if the return value, if it's not equal to, turn on context sensitive integer, if it's not equal to -1, that means it was successful. So we'll go into a branch, connect it up to our execution pin, and we're gonna need to rewrote this. We're gonna need to rewrote this in here. That'll work. We're also gonna want to know how many characters are in the string, so let's do len. That gives us an int return. We're gonna want that rewrote. Okay, so we're gonna need a local variable called int out, or let's say parsed int, and that'll be of type integer with a default value of 0. So if true, then we set that to, this is where you get some string manipulation, which can be very tough in blueprints. I think the #1 fallback of blueprints is it doesn't allow you to manipulate strings very well. So we want to do a right chop, and where we want to right chop it off is at the count plus the number of characters in the string. So what that's doing is it's and then the return value converts into a string like so. So what that's doing is finding the substring. So if we have, match time equals 180, how many characters is that? That's one. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9 characters. So basically what we're doing is we're searching for that substring of match time, and it'll return where it finds it. So it'll find it obviously at 0 or whatever. So then we add that 9 characters, and then we chop. So we chop the 9 characters off of the entire pair, the option and the int. So we chop the 9 characters off, and then we just get the 9, like so. We also need to rewrote this down. Let's see, there should be room here, because obviously that's if it was successful, but remember we are also setting if it is not successful, is or is not successful, based on whether the option is set or not. So we set that parsed int, and then we return it. So right to the return node, and the parsed int is the parsed int. And was successful is based on that boolean. However, if it's false, then we just return. And what I mean by false is if this was equal to -1, aka if it failed. So then we just return. And in that case, we return 0, which is the default int. Alright, cool. So that should work. So takes an option and integer pair and parses and pulls the integer from the input. Let's just delete this. i.e. match time equals 80, returns 80, true. So 80 and successful. So we can parse an int from option string, and we want this to be pure and constant, so that we don't need an execution. So let's compile. So compile, come on. Oh, come on. What are you trying to do? Parsed int in scoped, but property parsed int already exists there. Set parsed int and then return it. Why is that not compile? Tried to create a property parsed int. Local var. Oh, because you can't name it the same. So parsed int out. Actually, let's just go parsed int as the output, and I should be doing this with all my variables. L underscore. All my local variables I prefix with L underscore. So parsed int. That should work now. Compile. There we go. So now we can close that. So now we can use that to set our game settings. So what we can do is we can bring that right out, parse int from option string, and if it was successful, it goes into the branch, and the parsed int goes into the multiply by 60, so we're pulling the seconds out to set the match time, and the target is self, and the option name is going to be round time equals, so I guess it'd be 10 characters, sorry, match time equals, that'd be 10 characters, so that's where it right chops 10 characters, gets what's to the right of it, which would be however many ints. The options and int pair is the array element. Bingo. Easy. So that one is for match time. So get matched, or just handle match time options. Let's bring this over. Can we bring? Yeah, let's bring this over to leave some room for our sequence. So let's do that. Let's set up a number of teams while we're at it. So then one, same deal. Let's do a reroute into a branch. This will be pretty mundane and easy from now. Branch, going over my hour, but that's all right. Extract int from option string. Success. Parsed int goes to true, which is set number of teams. That one's pretty easy. Just rewrote it to clean it up. And the options name is number. Actually, let's keep it short because I think you have a character limit. Num teams equals. The options and int pair goes from the array element again. So this one, set number of team, or handle setting number of teams, or just handle number of teams. We'll we'll call it on what variable we're setting. Number of teams, we could do friendly fire. That's a pretty important one. So let's reroute and let's go to a branch, hold down B and click. And same fit. Actually, all we need to do is just take the array index, and if it equals case insensitive, because we don't care about the case, if it's equal to friendly fire, so basically I'll put it in the comment, then that's the condition. Just gonna go to there, so that's the condition. If true, then we set another configuration option we need to create. So let's create a variable called b is friendly fire on, and let's make that a boolean and editable, and it's gonna be config, what do we call the other one? Config game? Yeah, config game. So b is friendly fire on. So then we just set that. If true, then we set it to whether that's true. If it's not true, then it doesn't set it, and friendly fire is not on then. Alright, so if options string contains, we'll go friendly fire, then friendly fire is enabled. Similarly, you could do the same thing. You could duplicate that whole thing, actually. Just duplicate it. Copy, paste, bring it down. You could drag this right up to the array and create another sequence right into the branch. Let's see if we can bring this back. You can go enable cheats and then just replace enable cheats, then in-game cheats are allowed, and then you would just set a variable. Instead of b is friendly fire, you would just create a variable like just duplicate that called b are cheats allowed. Same thing, exactly the same. What else could we do? So we're creating a battlefield game. Options. We'd have vehicles. Would we want to disable and enable vehicles? Probably not. So any more options, let me know that relate to a battlefield style game. It's been a long time since I've played one online, actually. But you know, you can think of like, you know, maybe like plane limits, or you know, B enable commander artillery or whatever, right? You can do anything that you would like in here. So let's comment this whole array. Set game mode options and parses the options string for creating a session on that. Alright, so that is good. I can't see my monitor if it's from down there. They're angled too much today. Alright, compile, F7. What else do we need? Or what else can we do? Right, we were working on event begin play. So on event begin play, in our game mode, we want to set game mode options. Okay. And then yeah, we want a actual name for our game mode. So then let's cast to BP game state, and and obviously we want to get game state. And remember, we created that those 3 variables, so we want to set game mode's real name, like so, and we want to set it to, let's create a variable called game mode display name. Pretty simple. Game mode display name, yeah, easy enough. Let's make that text and editable, and this will be config, and this will just be for GUI purposes. So let's just go HUD or GUI. And shorten it to UI if we want. Doesn't need to be replicated, and let's give it it does need a default value, because well, what is this game mode called? Let's just call this for now prototyping game mode. And so that'll be under the config options. We can change that at any time. So we need to return that though, so plug that into there. If the cast fails, however, then because sometimes a game state isn't always available, then what we want to do is like basically sometimes it can take a little bit for the game state to get created in with your game mode because of network latency. So then let's delay like a half a second and try again. We should actually almost put that in a function. You don't want that to go forever, but I guess you need a game state in your game mode, so yeah, like so. I should almost think of a do end counter, like only allowed to do like 100 times, but I'm sure that'll be fine. Although I like being on the safe side, so let's do a delay and do n, which is the n key, do n, enter, and let's try 25 times, so that'd be like 12 seconds. Actually, let's go for like 15 seconds, so 30. Counter, I don't have a local variable, so let's just if counter is equal to 30, branch true, then don't do anything. If false, then go ahead and try casting again. That's just our redundancy kind of, you know, redundancy and safety checks that I put in our blueprint guide. Alright, so exit into the branch, easy enough. Come on, line up. Oh, there we go. What else? And if true, then it's just gonna, actually if true, we should print a very good print string. Event begin play BP, actually should be the other way around, but whatever. BP game mode could not find game state after 30 attempts. Try the server again. I'll put that in red, and it'll print to the log and the screen for a duration of 15 seconds. Why not? Alright, so that's true. So let's do event, oops, I got caps on, event begin play, handles setting game mode options and setting the game mode name for UI usage. which will attempt to find the game state 30 times. Good enough. Let's give it some room there. Yeah, that'll work. Alright, cool. Bring this up. Bring that up too. I can probably bring this back up. There we go. Alright. What else can we do? It's getting quite long, but I want to get some of these functions out of there. You just kind of get in a blueprinting mood, you know? One thing that comes to mind if we go to multiplayer Steam old logic, respawn player. I guess it's not in here, but I think I put in the game instance. Let me just look for it really quick. It's in the game instance, yeah, MP Steam. So we have all these states. Yeah, I created the event graph. So we have all these states, show loading screen, show server list event, and so on and so forth. And it works. But little do we know that there is actually in the game mode there is stock events just like on PostLogin and event begin play that can do it for us, that we can use so that we don't have to use a custom state enumerator and be constantly setting states. So what we can do is we can override a event, I guess it wouldn't really be overridden, but event on set match state. So that's match state changes. What are we gonna do when a state changes? And you can see new state. If we do a switch, and if we refresh nodes, compile, refresh nodes. Come on, refresh nodes, refresh nodes, refresh nodes. Come on, how do you get the names on there? Refresh nodes, find references, no. Come on. Right, so you select the actual node. Uncheck has default pin. We don't want a default. We want our different states. And to find the states, you can flow control switch. No, select. I believe no. Refresh nodes, compile. There's a way to get all the names. I'm just trying to remember. Get state. Not game state. New state. We'll just go manually. So we have enter, make sure this is spelled right, entering map and case sensitive, waiting to start, in progress, oops, in progress, 6 in total, waiting post match, leaving map, and aborted. And so let's bring this down a little bit. We got some work to do. This will be, well, yeah, I don't know, maybe we'll pile through some more, I'll see. So let's get game state, which is not that button, and cast to it, turn back on that, convert to a pure cast. And if we're waiting to start, let's go to a branch. So if we're waiting to start the current match or round, whatever you want to call it, then let's go delayed, get B delayed start. As you can see, that's another stock variable that I bet you didn't know about. So you can see should the game start immediately and the first player logs in. So we can work off of that. There's all sorts of interesting things you can do. And we're going to need to rewrote this. Bring it down. Just bring that up too. So if it is a delayed start, then why did I get initial lifespan? I need a rewrote. So let's just go, actually gameplay. Yeah, we can't do that yet. We need to create a variable. So let's do that first. Let's go to our BP game state. Let's add a variable called gameplay state. This is going to be gameplay state. We need to create that, I think. It's not. Yeah, it's not default. So we have our game state here. That was our default one. So let's rename that to game state mp steam old. And then let's right click and create a new blueprint enumeration called gameplay state. Let's go into it. Let's add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, something like that. Sorry, we got pregame. We got warm up. These are case sensitive, playing, and summary, and post game. Save that. So now we can go to our game state and gameplay state. We can set that to that enumerator. So go here, come on, there we go, gameplay state. It doesn't need to be editable. Category, it's gonna be, what do we have for category? We have states yet? Info states maybe? Let's go, yeah, info, states. All right. And it should be replicated, and by default we want it to be on playing. Just in case things screwed up, then we can set it to playing. And actually we can set it to rep notify, and then we get our on rep gameplay state. And what we can do is we can pull this right in as a getter, and we can do a switch, and it fills it in right for us. And then we can do different things based on this, and which will get called on the client and the server. So you could do loading screens or whatever. So we might use that. So compile and save that. And so we will go back to our game mode. So if true, we go to as BP game state, and we set with notify gameplay state. And we want to set it to pregame. But we also need to set our match time remaining, set and update our match time remaining. So we want a timer before a game starts in the lobby. So this is all working into the lobby, trust me, I'm not just going randomly. So we need a lobby, or just, I guess the state is pregame. So pregame countdown. This will be a float. We'll put it in, this will be a configuration, config, what do we have for configuration? Teams, game, UI. Let's put it under game. Doesn't need to be replicated. And how many seconds should we have? Probably 60 seconds for map voting and changing classes and stuff in between matches. I think that'll work. So we have that pregame countdown variable. So let's create a function called, let's call it update and set what is this? Pre-game, or this will work directly on the match time, and set match time remaining. And it'll have one input, which will be a float, which will be match time remaining if we're changing it. So that'll be to change to. And category, it'll be under, should make a matches. Yeah, let's put in our matches. Game matches. How about that? I like that better. I like nested categories. Game matches. Alright, so what we want to do is we want to take match time remaining to change to, because if we're changing it, obviously, then we're going to set round time, set match time left, and then we're going to get our game state and cast to our game state, convert to peer cast, and we need to go to BP game state and add another variable. It'll be a boolean. So b skip the next timer announce. This will be a boolean. And yeah, that'll be default because we want it accessible. So this will be for our lobby, and so we want to get that from our game mode. So as BP game mode, we want to set b skip the next timer announcement to true. If we're changing the match time left, then we want to skip the next timer countdown announcement. And then we need to go to game state and we need to create a function called actually event graph. It doesn't need to be a function. It'll be a custom event called update time remaining. And actually we need to change some things around because we kind of just hashed this together really half-assed. So let's bring that stuff over. We want to do a do once. So let's just bring these over. So hold down O and click. We want to only do this once. Switch has auth. If we have authority, then we go through this, which is to I guess it would be setup team info and replicate it to everyone. So we do that, and we also before that, see, can we move this over at all? Like so, like so, like so, like so, like so. That'll give us some more room. We can move this back now. So before we set, whether it's team game or not, we want to set timer by event. A very useful function. Shoot, move that over. Then we can do that. We want it to loop. Let's do it every second because it'll be a second-based countdown, obviously. Oh, those have got to be manually moved. Whatever, I don't care if it's off right now. So the event is going to be update time remaining, obviously. And so all we do here is we create a variable called time remaining, as the update time remaining might suggest. It'll be an integer, so in seconds, whole seconds. Its category will be info game. And we want to rep notify because we want to do stuff with the timer on the client, and and on the server. We want it to be transient, we want it to be 0 filled, and then set. Let's compile and save. Oh, I forgot to use the key. Yeah, so let's just do this first. So very easy. All we do is we just set time remaining every second, because this is looping. So what we do is we get game mode, we cast to game mode, convert to peer cast, get match time remaining. Then we want to do a ceiling, a float ceiling, so that'll give us the, instead of truncating to the lower value, it gives us the next highest value. So if there's 0.9 seconds left, there is 1 second left instead of 0. So like so, easy peasy. Then on rep time remaining, we might as well just do it while we're here. It's really easy. On rep time remaining, first we want to get B skip the next timer announcement. So this is where it works into the lobby. So if we're skipping it, then we set it to false for next time, for the next match. But if false, so if we're not skipping it, then we do a switch on int. That int is time remaining, and this will be our lobby countdown. So once everybody's joined a team, once everybody's finished voting on the maps, once the game's ready to start, we'll give it a 3-second countdown. So 0, 1, 2. So what we'll do is we will play sound 2D. And I don't have any, so I'm just gonna have to record some. But for now, we'll just do, what do we got here? We got light 2. We don't have anything with 3 things. Wait, starter, wind, that's wind. It's like 17 seconds long. Let's go just light 1Q. Duration. Explosion 3, they're like all 3 seconds long. Well, whatever. We'll know we need to replace it. We'll just do the same sound for all of them. It'll just be like pow, 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 every second, I guess. And we don't need a default pin. Yeah. So, actually, since we are not gonna have 0 seconds, our start index needs to be 1. So 1, 2, 3. So we'll make a note. Replace with recorded sounds. So that'll be a nice little note. And we'll know it's there because we'll see on rep time remaining. So that's that. So we can save that, compile, save, and we can go back to our game mode. And now all we need to do is just from our game state, reroute and update time remaining. So basically, we're skipping the next timer announcement. We're updating time remaining. Done deal. Update and set match time. Compile, save, close that. So now we can go back and finish this up. So all we do is call that function. Where is it? Matches, update and set match time remaining. And all we need to do is plug into match time remaining to change to is pregame timer. Countdown. Let's change that to countdown. So we'll change it to, what did we set it as? 60? Ooh, that should be 60. Yeah, 1 minute. So 60 seconds to set the time remaining in the lobby, and then it'll count down for the last 3 seconds once everyone's set. That is that. Okay, cool. So I'm happy with that. We're gonna need a couple more. We're gonna need match start, match end. Those are pretty important. So let's create a new custom event called on match start. We'll want to get game state and cast and convert to peer cast, and then we need to create a function in there. So let's go back to our BP game state event graph, and where should we put this? I guess we can just put underneath this here. So a new custom event called match has started notification. This is gonna be a multicast and reliable. Very important that everyone knows that the match has started. So all we do is we set our gameplay state with notify, in case we want to add some extra pizzazz, to playing. So when the match is started, we are playing. And very similarly, and I figured we can do this just because it won't take long at all, match has ended. Same deal. So match has, copy, match has ended notification. And then we'll just set it to end summary. So that's where we'll get a post-game summary. So compile, there's save hotkey, Control S, I guess, yeah. So yeah, that's that. So then we can go back to our game mode, and now we can match has started notification on match start, and then we want to update and set match time remaining to our total match time, so which is currently 3 minutes. Our lobby's a minute, our match time is 3 minutes. It's kind of funny, but that's why that's configurable. And then we want to call it here on in progress. So on set match state in progress, we go to on match start. And similarly, we're going to need one for waiting post match, which will be extremely similarly on match, or custom event might help first, on match end. Put it down here. So we set and update the match time remaining to how long we want the end summary to show up. So let's create a new variable. Let's put it right in here in game. So we'll just duplicate this pregame countdown. I made it capital U, it bugs me. And we'll call it end match summary time. Compile F7. It'll be a float. It'll be editable. Config game, not replicated. How long should we show the summary at the end? Maybe 15 seconds to see your information, like who was the winner, what was your kill and death ratio, etc. So on match end, we do that. Then we set well, we get the game state and cast to BP game state, so let's do that. And we need to teams. We're gonna need more not fun big functions to build. We're at 1:39. Maybe I'll make this a long one. We'll just hammer out like lots of the core gameplay stuff. So as game state, we get get B as team game. Let's put it over here. If it's, that's replicated. If it's not, Boolean. And we also need an and up here for a function we're gonna make. Put that on the lower one. If it's not a team game, oh come on, and Do we have? We don't have any of that, do we? No. Oh, we need a lot of functions in here yet, which are not fun. Yeah, great. Well, we can reroute down here, and we can go up here, and we can go notify match has ended notification, and then we want to get all actors of class, not spawn actor. We want to get all actors of class. Actor class is going to be BP base character. And then we want to do a for each loop for all the characters. And yeah, we need to create a function there too, which isn't that hard, but so I'm just gonna put a little note here, loop body, because I don't want to throw too many functions in on you guys today. Match ended character setup for camera stuff. And then once it's completed, we reroute, and we have another function. We switch and view winner player. So whoever the winner, we will view them in the post-game summary in the background. And then once that's all done, we need to initiate a map vote. Initiate a map vote in the lobby. Alright, good enough. We'll leave that there for now, just some CGO code, some CGO script. Let's try to finish this function here. So we need to get the highest ranked team number. We need the team number that that has the most number of kills on it. So it'll be a lot simpler than ranking the player states, though, trust me. So create a new function. We'll call it find team number with highest score, and this will be under game matches, sorry. And it has no inputs, but it does have two outputs, an integer team number, and if the teams are tied, then just our teams tied. Alright, I got no more than 15 minutes here, but this won't take that long. So we want to do a for each loop. For each loop on get game state, not game instance, get game state, cast to game state, convert to peer cast, get our team data, cast team data, get teams data, which is replicated, and that's our array. And then what we want to do, well, once we're completed, we're going to return, and we're going to need some local variables. So we're going to need capital L underscore highest ranked team, L underscore highest score, and L is tied. That'll be a boolean, that'll be a float, and this will be an integer. Yeah, perfect. And the best score, because you don't know what a score could be, so set it to like -1. Well, you could have -1 with friendly players, so let's set it to like -10,000. You never know. People could have a lot of friendly fire. So off the array element, we want to get kills, which we don't have on our team's data. So we need to go to our teams and BP teams data. Each team needs to have kills. And do something with classes too. Each class could have information too. It's kind of interesting. We want it to be 0 filled at load, so set it to transient. It'll be an integer, and we can just leave it like that for now. Compile and save. So back to the game mode. So yeah, now we can get the team's number of kills. Get kills. Ooh, that should be replicated too, I believe. That's the one thing that is replicated in the team data. So kills, replication is replicated. Yeah, that'll work. Do we need team number anymore? Is that used anywhere? I don't know. Probably. I don't really want to break it. We'll leave it, but we're not setting the team number from there anymore because that was just causing us issues. But anyways, compile and save, and all our children classes will get updated. There we go. So it's replicated now. So we get kills. We're gonna need our array index rerouted. Whoops, wrong keys. So we're gonna need that rerouted. So we need to, let's make ourselves some more room here. And the team number out will be the highest ranked team, and teams are tied will be local variable are tied. So what we need to do is go into a branch which has the condition are two integers greater than each other, which is the team's kills greater than the current best score in the function, truncated, so to the next lowest value. Is it greater than that? If so, they're the new, they have the new highest score and they're the new best team. And we also want to check if they are equal, then they're tied. So then we go into another branch, so just create a branch. False, condition being if they're equal. If true, then set L is tied to true. We could just drive it off there too, actually. That would make me feel better. Whatever. And this also needs to get rerouted again over here, as well as the array index. Right, we already set that up to get rerouted. Array index on top, kills on the bottom. So if true, then like I said, we set it to it's the new highest ranked team. And the new highest ranked team is the array index, the current team that we're checking. And their new high score is the new highest score, best score. Hey, that's supposed to be a... Yeah, no, that's fine. Cool. So that is that, I think. Oh yeah, and if so, then obviously they're not tied. Obviously one team is better than the other. Red is better than blue, or blue is better than red. So set that to false. And then yeah, once we're completed, we just return it all. So we can copy this and comment it. Handles returning the team with the highest score based on kills, or if they are tied, for summary info and other things. So F7 to compile, Control S to save. Come on, F7 to compile, Control S to save. Now we can go back. Oh, sorry. We gotta go back there for 1 second. Find team number with high score. That has to be parent constant because we need to call it from there. So compile, save. Let's go back to the event graph. So now we can call that right in there. Find team number with the highest score. And that team number, basically, we can't do anything with it. Yeah, well, okay, we can do one thing. We can go to our game state. We can add a variable called winning team number. And that will be an integer. It'll be under info match. We want it to be 0 filled at the beginning because we'll obviously set that to whichever is the winning team number. We want it to be replicated so everyone can see what the winning team number is, and a default of 0 is just fine. So save that and go back to our game mode. So now we can do something. We can take our game state and we can set winning team number. And we can set that winning team number to the team number with the highest score. Like so. I'm going to bring this up here because it's going to get pretty messy in here in a second. Those can be connected now. Like that. However, now we need to do all this Boolean stuff. So if the teams are tied and it's a team game, or it's not a team game and not what another one we need to come up with, then we can go to our, excuse me again, oh, you got lots of carbon dioxide going on. We go to our game state and add another new variable under the match, so we can just duplicate that because it's going to be replicated as well, and it'll be 0 filled transient, and it will be a Boolean called B was match tied. It'll be a Boolean, and F7 to compile, default false, save, go to our game mode. I'm almost out of time here. Go to our game mode. So now we just need one more. Oh, we can set that now. So this sets, so we set the winning team number, but we also need to set if the match was tied. This stuff needs to come way over, man. Way over. So we set the winning team number and we set B was match tied based on I just don't like having lots coming off like that. Based on that one right there. So, if the teams are tied and it's a team game, then you can set it to match as tied. Or if it's not a team game and in the function we're going to create, we don't have a tied player. So that means we need to create a function which, is it? No, it'll be different. So, but yeah, it'll be similar to find team number with highest score. So let's just duplicate it. And let's call this find player with highest score. And open it up. And let's delete everything. And we need input. So the team number that we're searching for. the team number that the player is on. It is an integer. The winner, so the winning player is going to be a BP I can't remember now. It'll be a player state, not a player character control. BP player state reference. Perfect. And we need a boolean. B is not tied. Make sure that no players are tied, or if they are. So this one is pretty simple actually. We get our game state, we cast to our VP game state, convert to pure cast. I should set it to default to pure cast. How much time would that save? Then we need to get state get player states listed by kill death ratio based on the team number of the input team number. If the rankings are not tied, we also need to rewrite that, and we also need to get the length of the number of player states. If the length is greater than 0, so if there's at least one player that scored and the rankings aren't tied for some reason, and a branch goes up here, as long as there's at least one player, we're gonna need a local variable. Let's delete 2 of these. This one will be L underscore winning player out. You don't want the same number. Oh yeah, I added the L, whatever. And that'll be BP player state reference. So if it's greater than 0, then we can set that. But we need to set that to this array, and we need to do an array get 0. So that 0, because remember we order it. As you can see, we get the player states listed by kill death ratio in ascending order. So 0 is going to be the highest ranked player. So that'll be the winning player. And then we take our return node and we can return that right there. So we go into our return node, we output the winning player, and it's not tied if those are both true. And if this is false, then we just return. Let's do that up here. In that case, we would return nothing. Let's bring that up so it's even. Good deal. Alright, so F7 compile, Control S, close, we're almost done. So now we can find player with highest score, and we can connect everything else up. So team number is team number from the team number with the highest score, and then we find the player with the highest score. And if not tied, and then we just need to set one more thing. We need to go to our game state, and we need to set same thing right here. Let's duplicate was a match tied. This will be winning player state. Let's go winning player. And this will be a BP player state reference. And it'll be info match. And let's set it to rep notify. Let's compile because we want to make sure that it is transient. Perfect. And on rep winner, Yeah, we'll do that another time because that involves a lot of information, and it's just basically plays a sound to the winning player, and everyone else. Basically, you lost or you won or whatever we want. So back to our game mode. Now we can just set that. So winning player. Oh, I guess we gotta drag off here first. So we set the winning winning team number, and then we set winning player, and then we set if the match was tied. Don't want to set if the match was tied first. So I rewrote that, trying to make it a little bit cleaner. So bring it up. That's not gonna help, is it? Whatever, that looks nice. Bring it one more over. So the winning player is that, and we'll bring it down to clean it up. Good enough. Alright, so that it's not even done yet. So I'm just gonna leave that there. I'm gonna leave a little note. I'm just gonna do all the. I'm gonna grab all this. I'm gonna go. Not quite done, but workable. So we got a little bit more work to do. But now that we have that created, on waiting post match, we can call match end on match end. Is there any quick ones we can knock out that I can think of? Now that we have those, that helps out. The only ones that'll take a lot more time to add in our game mode is the map voting. But other than that, not really. Or my reference info. Our game mode also, since we set options for cheats, we can add a custom event. This one will be real easy. Oh, I'm over time, whatever, we'll do it last time. So compile and save everything. We got a lot of functions out of the way. This game's starting to get some logic going in it. So once we do everything, it'll just come together. It'll be awesome. So yeah, we got another part. I guess we'll have part. What are we on? 2.1. We'll have part 2.2, I guess, which is really part 4 of. I don't even. Yeah. But it'll come together nicely, trust me. So yeah, thanks for watching from the team here at UnrealTek.net, a division of BlenderTech.com. If you enjoyed this video and learned something, please like it and subscribe. We also take donations. We're on social media, and links on your screen. If you disliked this video, let us know why so we can improve. And we will see you next time. So remember.